Hi, let's see how we can save some money on right sizing, and this time with S3 buckets. So this section might be a bit long, but it will be quite easy to understand and to fix. First, about pricing. Amazon S3 is an object storage service. It's actually the first service on AWS. So you pay for storing objects in your S3 buckets. The rate you are charged depends on your object size. So if it's 1 MB or 1 TB, you are not going to pay the same cost. And also how long you store the object during the month. If you are only storing it for 1 day or for the full month. And finally, the storage class. You have the pricing of S3 standard. So you are paying this much. For another storage class, for example, S3 Glacier Flexible Retrieval, you're going to pay less here. And for S3 Glacier Deep Archive, you're going to pay a lot less. About S3 storage classes. So S3 provides different levels of reliability and availability through its storage classes. So if you check here the access frequency diagram, you can see that if you need your data frequently, you should use the S3 standard storage class, which is the default class. And also, if you don't need that data at all, but you want to keep it, you can use the infrequent class, which will be here, the S3 Glacier Deep Archive. So you will pay less for your data, but if you want to retrieve your data, you're going to pay a fee and you're going to need some time. So each storage class has different cost structure and guarantees about how quickly you can access your data. For Deep Archive here, you will retrieve your data within 12 hours. Some of them even have a minimal storage duration here. So you have S3 standard, designed for frequently accessed data. You can use also S3 intelligent trading for data with changing or unknown access patterns. Then you can use S3 standard AR for long-lived, infrequently accessed data. You can use also one zone here for non-critical data. S3 reduced redundancy for frequently accessed but non-critical data. And then this is our archive. So there is S3 Glacier instant retrieval for archive data access on the quarter with instant retrieval. Then you have formerly Glacier, which is now S3 Glacier flexible retrieval for infrequently accessed archived critical data. And then you have, of course, Deep Archive. To know which S3 buckets is interesting to Rightsize, you can go directly to the S3 service and then buckets section, and then you click on the button here, View Storage Length Dashboards. Then you can modify here the top end value just here and put 10. And finally, you can look all the bucket lists with the total storage associated. You will have the 10 top bucket lists. And you can see here that the first bucket has over 500 terabytes, and it represents more than 80% of your total storage. You should investigate every bucket over 1 TB here. So you should investigate nearly all of them here. And in each bucket, ask yourself the following questions. First question, do I need that data? If the answer is no, simply delete completely or partially the bucket. AWS, simply go to S3 service, then buckets section, select one bucket and click on empty. So you will have this pop-up here, and you simply have to say permanently delete here, and it will erase totally your bucket. And then you can delete also the bucket. But if you want to delete partially the bucket, you can go inside and delete directly files or folders. If the answer is yes, then keep it and ask yourself question 2. But before question 2, I just want to show you how you can delete it with lifecycle policy. If deletion takes too much time because you have lots of objects, you can create a lifecycle policy. Then just go to Management section and click on Create Lifecycle Rule. And you can see here that I want to delete everything. So I put Apply to all objects in the table. And in the Lifecycle Rule action, I click on all of that. So I expire the current version of objects and I permanently delete non-concurrent version of the object. And I put 1 day here, 1 day here. And so after 1 day, it will delete everything. It should take 1 or 2 days to delete all objects. You should see the progress in the metrics section here. So this is an example with a partial deletion that it has been done. For partial deletion, you can also create a lifecycle policy here by adding a scope with a path prefix. So you click here, limit the scope of this role using one or more filters, and in the prefix, for example, you put the prefix of your S3 bucket right here. Question 2, if I need that data, then how long? Data retention is very important here and should be discussed upon your team. For example, log buckets must have an expiring lifecycle policies. So it could be 1 year, 1 month, or even 1 decade, but you must know it. And then you can also change here the lifecycle policy. So it could be the same than delete. You click on expire current version of the object here, and also delete permanently version of objects. And you can put here the number of days. So if it's 1 year, you can put 365 days here, here, and here. Then consider using storage classes for question 3. Question 3, if I need permanently that data, then how frequently do I need to access it? If you are retaining data for a long time for archive purpose, you need to consider storage types. This is one example here that you can click on Move current version of object between storage classes, and same for non-current version. For example here, after 30 days, you can move your data into standard AI, and after 90 days, you can move it to Glacier Instant Retrieval, and after 180 days, you can move it to Glacier Deep Archive. But take care, only archive objects that you are not supposed to access frequently, because there is a retrieval fee, so it might be more expensive at the end. So make sure you are not doing a lot of requests in your data you are archiving. Also, the minimum storage duration is 30 days for S3 standard AI, 90 days for Glacier Retrieval, and 180 days for Glacier Deep Archive. About S3 intelligent sharing. So if access and usage patterns are unpredictable, you can also use the intelligent sharing storage class. In your lifecycle policy here, just choose intelligent sharing here, and let's say, for example, after 30 days. It will automatically put your objects in the correct storage type. How does that work? You have one example here. By default, objects are automatically stored in frequent access tier, which is equals to standard S3 storage access. Then objects not accessed for 30 days are placed in the infrequent access tier. Then object not accessed for 90 days will be in the archive instance access tier. And one option here, if you want, object not accessed for 180 days will be in deep archive access tier. You pay for monthly storage, requests, and data transfer. When using intelligent sharing, you pay also a small monthly per object fee for monitoring and automation. But the good thing is there is no retrievable fee in S3 Intelligent Sharing and no fee for moving data between tiers. You can also know your usage pattern by using S3 Analytics. To detect anomalies with AWS billing, you simply have to go in the billing service, bill section, select simple storage service and region, and you can search for your request line. So for example, here I have requests for all of them here, here, and here, and here. And you are paying here that price. So for all those number of requests, I'm requesting data that are in, for example, for Glacier in the archive tier. And so I'm paying this much for all these requests. And you can see if that number is high or low. To right size your S3 buckets, we saw that it was easy. So you simply have to implement lifecycle policies depending on your usage and access patterns. Just act with caution when applying deletion policies.